Hello, this is Plant-Based Azalea, healer from the hood, and I'm going to talk about part 9. The book will have all the details in it, but I'm just taking you through. So as you know, talked about my mom and dad, a little bit about my family, um, a little bit about the background. My background was one of honesty, integrity, perfectly imperfect, if that makes any sense to anyone. And being from the hood, I felt like I always had protection because even though we were off of Mirror Street and we were around High Street, I often think, I said, man, my whole experience was a different experience because of all the protection, the Cholas, the Hells Angels, the community. God basically worked through the people to look after me. That's what I realized. And so when I got married, and I got married young, eventually I got better, but I realized that sometimes best friends should not get married. And so he's an awesome person. It's just that we were young. And so we went through a lot, and it's a lot to go through, be with the healer, number one, a pioneer, and a person who is really into the community, understanding that. So I had 3 beautiful children eventually, Aubrey, Ananda, and Xavier. And everywhere I went, I called them golden children. People were like, oh, you should have the model, you should this. And I'm like, no. And they went through all the experiences with me. And I have to thank my children because they really were part of the community, a main part. I'll never forget, a lady went up to my children and she said, honey, you're going to be safe. You're going to be sharing your mom with the whole community. That's what she told my kids, and she was not kidding. What I ended up doing was I saw the need, especially as a black woman and, an African indigenous woman. I saw the need for helping the community holistically, the ones that people have gotten up on, and educating them on cancer, diabetes, and health and natural holistic healing. So I ended up going, like the blind man said, to Acupressure Institute, which was wonderful. It's a small school in Berkeley. We learned Chinese medicine, emotional releasing, and most of all, acupressure, which disease is because of stuck energy. I went on to learn iridology from Elizabeth Lane, one of the best iridologists, and Brother Terry. They were phenomenal. If anybody's from Oakland, they knew Elizabeth Lane. And I went on to learn ear candling. I went on to travel across the world, went on Soul Beat, did a health show, and traveled across the world to different rainforests, researching different herbs for the body as I was on my healing journey. And I vowed that I would give back to the community, and boy, did I give back, spending 15 hours a day with some clients. I ended up starting a holistic center in West Oakland, and this is the part that's really interesting. I found out later that behind that was where my great-great-grandfather had his home and businesses at. Did not know why I was drawn to West Oakland. And there was like diesels that went through West Oakland, and I had everybody sign in the community to get the diesels out that way because it was making people's hair come out, cancer, and all type of different things were going on. I remember there was a Chinese man, and I saw this beautiful Victorian house at 1175 12th Street in West Oakland. It was right near all the major things that were going on. West Oakland got a bad rap, but it was a phenomenal community. I felt safe in that community, and it was a real community. It was the first time, or let's just say the second time, that I felt really safe leaving my door unlocked and everything in this community, unlike what we had heard about West Oakland. It was a beautiful Victorian house that had a huge basement, several rooms, and a house in the back. And I said this would be a good holistic center. The house at the time was 600 and something thousand. And me, I never paid attention to the prices of things because I feel like everything is energy and you attract it. You attract it, and then you see how it comes about, and you step in knowing that it's going to happen. I always lived like that and prayed about things. I was sitting in front of the house looking at it. A Chinese man approached me and he said, you want to buy this house? I said, yes, I do. Didn't have much. He says, well, give me 10,000 down. So I hustled up, did some clients, and gave him $10,000 down. And that place was like $10,000 or so a month. It was a lot. However, I redid it with the community, and we did a lot of work. I lived at the top, and I had all of the holistic service. We had a colonic room. We had it themed African. It was a beautiful downstairs. And I had community meetings every week where we taught about herbs. We put an herb garden in the front, and people came there from all around the world. We worked on Erica Baidu there. Queen Afua came in. That's when I first met her, and she had an amazing strength in her body. She really takes care of herself well. I did James Brown. I did lots of the community, lots of homeless people, lots of people who could not afford it. And what I would do is I would get the celebrities' money and put it right back into the community, because 90% of the community did not have the funds to afford things. So I would do the celebrities, and I would take my children in the community, and I was with the Koreans at the time, and they were buying houses. So I would go knock on the doors with my children and let them know that, look, I want to sell your home, but I'm putting it back into the community to help with research holistically for cancer, diabetes, and different things holistically, doing God's medicine. So I got well known in the community for the work that I did. I had a 75% success rate with my clients, working on over 4,500 clients. Now, you can't help everyone because everybody's not going to follow the plan. And there's a lot in dealing with cancer. I found out with cancer that a lot of it has to do with parasites. There's 2 million parasites that grow in the body with cancer. It feeds off of sugar. It feeds off of bad foods, things like that. So you really, when we did the cancer clients and other ones, we really had to put a lot of work into living food classes, teaching prevention. There's a lot of doctors that I worked with that came and spoke at our holistic center. A lot of community people that spoke. We had a lot of different speakers. I had one lady, and I cannot remember her name, but she was in her 80s and a live foodist and vegan, and she had so much energy, and she would teach classes. We would do raw food classes all the time. And I would have healing classes for men, healing classes for women, and I'll never forget, we had a healing circle in dealing with men in the community. And I find that therapists are good, but the time is up, and I didn't want our time to be up in discussing our issues and the issues that we had. And so a lot of healing took place at this healing center. Later on, I'm going to tell you what ended up happening. Like I said, being the healer from the hood, there was a lot of obstacles. It was not easy getting up, $10,000 a month. I really had to hustle a lot with 3 kids, and then spending, anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a day working with clients, being there consistently, because once you take a client on like that, that's willing to take it on and willing to change and make a change, it is a lot of work. There was one lady who was Samoan, and she came in and she ended up overcoming cancer. She had so many parasites that Carmen, I'll never forget, she was in the colonic room, and Carmen said, come in. Now, mind you, 6 months I had her on living foods, no meat, no sugar, parasite cleanse, black walnut, clove, and it was black walnut, clove, there's a black green walnut, and wormwood. And they would take that on an empty stomach, fast, and then they would be juicing. We'd be doing wheatgrass and, all of that. No meat, no sugar, no flour, none of that. Positive. I would have Linda Compton come, and she would do therapy on them. So there would be a whole crew of people that I would have come. I would work with their medical doctor so that they could know and, watch them and see what was going on as time went on. So the colonic lady, she said, you got to come in here and see this. So she was willing to do all the work. There was loads of worms coming out of her. I'll never forget this. And one of the worms that came out of her had like eyes and a nose, and, and I kept that worm in a jar for about a year or two to show people this is a living being that's living inside of you, like a roach that wants to live. And so it's feeding off of your body. That lady ended up getting better, you know, and living a great life, but there were changes that needed to be made. Eating changes, emotional changes. That's the reason why we have the classes, because you need the support when you're changing your life like that. So this is I think this is, we said part 9. And I'm just going to be telling you things that I remember. Again, the book is going to have more details written in it of what happened. And I'll get into some of the clients and, you know, that didn't mind me telling their story, and some of the things that went on at the Holistic Center. It's amazing. Stay tuned for part 10.